Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and this is going to be the introduction to my bankroll challenge. Yeah, let's go. Roll the intro. Hang on. $3,000. There won't be an intro. This series is going to be an online series, and it's going to be a bankroll challenge series. And the goal of the series is to show you how I would build my bankroll if I started over. This is a series for you. What I'm doing is I'm showing you how I'm going to build my bankroll. So we're going to start with $200. That is actually, incidentally, that's the max I can deposit into GG because, you know, they won't let me increase my deposit limit above $200 anyway. Otherwise, I probably would deposit more. Okay, so first of all, I'll just introduce and say this is the plan, and we're going to be doing a plan. You cannot go into your career without a plan. You can, if you're brand new to the game, just play, have to get some experience, learn the game, you know. But if you don't have a plan, you're going to find yourself struggling a little bit. So stake or stakes. We're actually not going to. We're not going to be starting at 2-0. Like it's ridiculous. Like 2-0, 10-0, 5-0. Not too much difference in the stakes. You don't really need a big bankroll. $200 is not a lot of money in this day and age, even in like poorer countries. So if you've got $200 to spare, stick it in your bankroll and get started. And if you've got more than that, I would suggest you start even higher. But we're going to go and start at $200 because almost every poker player can at least afford $200. We're going to start at 10 now, so that's going to give us 20 buy-ins. Now, I'm not going to cover bankroll management strategies exactly. There is something called the Kelly criterion. I made a video on how I would structure my bankroll strategy. I'm not going to go through the process of it, but I'm going to assume that I'm a decent winner. So I'm going to play a very aggressive bankroll strategy. And even if you're not a decent winner, even if you're a very small winner, you should still play a very aggressive bankroll strategy. Why? Because if you go busto with your $200, it doesn't matter. I put $200 in. If I go busto, I go busto. Do I do the challenge again? I might do the challenge again. I don't know. It's not a one-time challenge. I could try to do it again. But basically, I might wait a month, you know? Make it realistic. I'm working my job. I'm part-time job at McDonald's. And I've saved up $200 for a month. I'm sticking it into my account and I'm going to go play. Sites. Well, we want to pick sides for a couple of different reasons. First thing first, we're going to want to look at the rake. So we've got prime dope here. We'll zoom out a little bit. Yeah, and like let's just look at the rake comparison. And we're going to be looking at the micros. And we want generally the place that has the lowest net rake for our limit. Now these are just regular tables, and you can see, for example, coin is like 8.3 BBs. Coin is pretty good. We've got all of these options. What in the heck is Pai Wang Lao? All these different networks. Unibet is good. WPT Global is good. I don't think I can play on that. I can play on Unibet. I do not want to, but that's a pretty good one. The stars, obviously. Coin, which I play on. Horizon Poker. What in the hell is Horizon Poker? All of these are the ones, but we want to stay away from the super high rake ones. A lot of these we can't play on anyway. Jack Poker, you know. So the next thing to do is to look at where you should be playing and look at your bonuses, your deposit bonuses and stuff. Now, for the sake of the video, I'm not going to be faffing around with deposit bonuses, but I will say you should look at these things. So where can we look? Okay, so we have decided we're going to play GG Poker. Now, what you could do is, if you wanted to, is you could spread your roll around multiple sites. Personally, I'd actually recommend you do this when you're building your bankroll. Is like we pick one, we pick GG, we grind out the deposit bonus, we take what we have left, and we pull it onto the next site and we grind that deposit bonus. And then we go to the next site and we grind that deposit bonus until we've gone through all of the deposit bonuses we can find. This is how I kind of did it as a microstakes player, and this is really big because like this is a huge, because like these $500, you know, deposit bonuses, $1,000 deposit bonus, they're not nothing. GG. I'm not going to personally switch between sites, but I'm just really recommending that you go between the sites and grind out deposit bonuses. And we're going to move up when we hit 20 buy-ins for 25 an hour, which is $500. We move down. If we lose 2 binds, 3 binds, it's going to be aggressive shot taking, basically. If we lose 4 bind, so $400. It's as simple as that. That's our goal, and then 3 for 50 an hour. Before we get into any kind of playing, we need a plan. We can't just go in not knowing the plan. We need to know ranges that we should make adaptations to. We need to understand the ranges, and we need to know how the pool plays. But yeah, when I do my challenge, that's how I'm going to practice. I'm going to pretend that I'm you guys, and I'm going to practice 10 spots per day pre-flop. And I'm going to look at all the ranges as well. I'm just going to go through all the ranges. So like I've practiced my hands. Now we can go through the ranges. You know, it looks pretty typical. Nothing here looks out of the ordinary. It's just that like this all looks pretty normal to an experienced player like myself. Obviously we have a lot of hands that are indifferent. Just, yeah, again, looks pretty normal. I'm a bit anti-pilled, but you know, so some of these 0 EV hands are like pure opens, but like, yeah, I mean, even then. So like, yeah, just not seeing anything too different. 45%, 30%, this size and 44%. Yeah, let's just deal with like some free bets, small sizes from the hijack. What do we do against this size? We're gonna wanna basically our 4-betting range even includes things like ace queen and ace jack suited, ace 10. So similar, but like I would expect it to flat these hands a bit more. It does make more EV ace queen flatten, but like 4-betting seems something. And then this is a calling range. Okay, so we have like lots of information here. We can just like look through this. We'll look through it every day. What do we do versus this? This time we're just pure flatten. These are some of the more normal free bets. Tiny amount of like pocket pairs. Am I going to mix pre-flop with stuff? Probably not. I'm just going to make my decision in the game. But yeah. So we're going to go. So this is like practice, learn rake structure, and MDA. So study GG Wizard 3, MDA. We're going to study Snap MDA 3. Now, on the free version, you get GG Poker and you get to view a few simple single raise spot pots, big blind versus button, big blind versus small blind. This is going to give me a sort of idea of how the pool sort of plays. I am an affiliate for Snap MDA, so if you put in my promo code, which is Hildriff, you will get 10% off. So if you are interested in getting the full version, click on upgrade, put in the promo code Hildriff for 10% off. But in the free version, this is all we're going to start. Yeah, we're going to look at some things. So I want to look at OOPPFC. I want to see how much they check fold. So we're going to look at BBV Ballon here. Overall, just generally, they're overfolding slightly to theory. Pots generally not as big as it should be. Bluff EV to data. Every size seems to be folded. Small. 25% doesn't have data on it necessarily, but every size like overbets. So 150 is really overfolded, which is interesting. Okay, but it's not the big sample here, but like with lots of small sizes. Okay, we can also like sort of look at textures. Are there boards that like people aren't overfolding? It seems like the lower boards seem to be not overfolded, and the wet boards, obviously, they're slightly better for the imposition out of position player. So that's something to think about. I think we're probably going to default to a bigger size on those boards. Yeah, but like generally, but the paired boards still are. The ace boards, Broadway, but that's the pot size is massively lower than it should be, but the folding frequency is low. So this is probably because people bet small on these boards, not because people overcall them. That would be my guess. Same here, you can see where there's a correlation between the pot being way smaller than it should be in GTO. So what this essentially means is like the average size of the pot is like 30. I guess this is a 36%. I'm not entirely 100% sure what that means, but basically, the pot should be like much bigger. And you can see that a lot of these double Broadway boards, which is saying that these boards are underfolded, but actually it's just because the pots are too small relative to theory, because often you're favouring more polarized strategies, which is why they say they're underfolded. But yeah, sort of any size is particularly overfolded. You actually make a good amount of money from your bluffs by overbetting. But you make money in every line. It's all fine. Foldy. Okay, so let's have a look at the check raise node. Overall, so 13% lower than theory. Raise folding is high. Raise calling is very low. Raise re-raising is slightly higher. Raise check quite low. Raise bet much higher. 37% strength. So generally, this is big blind versus button. This is an indication that when they check raise, they are very strong, either in equity or in just general hand strength. That's good. Let's have a look at sizes. Anything notes about the sizes? Obviously, this is about the frequency it occurs. I'm more interested in the strength of the range. Much stronger, much stronger. The smaller sizes doesn't necessarily correlate to strength, but the bigger sizes definitely correlate to strength. Not huge samples here, so I can't really read into it. So check raise in nitty. Size sequence. Too small sample in the overbet line, but everything else just like extremely strong range, way stronger than it should be. Textures, any patterns to understand about the textures. A lot of samples here are too small. Let's try and make a sample like a little bigger. Let's like at least make it 1,000 hands. Give me something to work with here. Wow, just so the ace Broadway low one actually reasonable. You know, that's sort of like the ace, ace queen 4 or whatever. Reasonable check raising frequencies. The average size of the pot is down, but only because I'm guessing because like people should be betting larger. But like triple Broadway, wow, just so much. Look how like the passive is. Ace high, not terrible, still underbluffed. Double Broadway, king high, mono's actually like not terrible, but the range is just way stronger than it should be. So like you're just probably getting check raised way too much by flushes in the mono line, which is going to make the turn call overfold probably large. I'm not sure about a rainbow in general. Queen high, yeah, just everything. Just everything seems to indicate passivity. So, game plan wise, we're coming up with a game plan here. Game plan wise, we were going over Snap MDA. Looking at the notes, I've skimmed over quite a few sections, but these are the conclusions that we kind of made. And I'm just going to go over them again. The flop is generally overfolded except the low boards that are non-paired. The check raise is just not enough, and it's just too strong. Ace plus Broadway plus low is one of the only boards which is going to generally be more balanced. The check raise bet line is more often in theory too strong. Bet fold is quite a high overfold. SRB, OOP, PFC, check fold, every size is overfolded, slash every board except ace Broadway low balanced. Check slash raise, a little low but okay. So basically probing is just going to be really good. And we'll just make a note there. Probe equal really good. So there's no incentive to ever like not probe if we're bluffing basically. Yeah. So yeah, these are some like great notes for us. And that's all we're going to do for today. We want to cover SRP, OOP, PFR and SRP in position pre-flop caller when we actually get into the game. I'm going to cover these two lines, which we can do for free. Because when we feel more comfortable, we can move into the free bet pots, but then you're going to actually have to purchase it to like start studying the data. But like, yeah, for the most part, we are pretty good with this. So I want you guys to tune in tomorrow, Sunday the 14th of June at 6 PM UK time, where I will stream the Bankroll Challenge. I will not be doing it in this video. I will be doing, you know, some like off-screen stream videos. But yeah, we're going to be streaming on Sunday, and we're going to try and do it every Sunday if we can. Every Sunday, if possible. Or Monday, you know. These are just generally days I don't usually play. Yeah. Tune in on Twitch. We're going to go through it. We're going to stream. Hopefully it's good. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching. I hope to see you guys tomorrow. And hopefully it's going to be fun. Yeah. See you guys later. Goodbye.